I've never done one of these, so fuck it, let's give it a try. Here's my tier list for Blender sculpting tools. I'm only going to be using the tools that I personally use, so if you don't use it, sculpt more, what can I say? Starting off with the first one, box mask. I feel like I've used this tool before quite a bit. It's nice to like mask out. Actually, it goes hand in hand with this one too, to mask out areas, large areas, without painting them in. So I would say it's C tier for sure. And you know what, the mask itself goes in the same tier, I think. Box trim, I have used it before, not on live stream, but on like a previous project, but it would always give me issues, so I'm gonna put it down in F tier. Is trash. I don't know how to tell you. I even switched ZBrush. If I have to switch from a whole software to a different software to achieve something, that clearly means something's wrong. In ZBrush it did kind of work, but it was also there's probably a problem with my mesh then. Line project, I've used this quite a lot. I'll put it in C tier, or yeah, it's alright. It's a good tool. Clay strips. Now you got clay strips and clay. Clay I've never used, so I'm gonna put that in F tier, and also it's maybe E tier or whatever. It's pretty ass. Clay is the shitty version of clay strips, and this one is S tier for sure. We start off with clay strips. Can never go wrong with that. Cloth. I know this one was hyped up when it first came out, but is it really that great? I feel like this one gives me more issues than it solves problems. So for that reason, I'm gonna put it in E tier, because honestly, maybe 1 in 100 projects it was useful. But the problem is when your mesh is so detailed, it will, I don't know, the details don't make sense. It will crease it, or it will simulate the cloth way too finely, and I don't really like it. Crease, and there was one more that I actually didn't add, but Crease is a really good one. I use it a lot. I'll put it in A tier. Draw face sets. This is again one of those brushes you would use if it has like a purpose for you, if you want to like do something with the face sets. I personally don't use it, and then when I have used it, the controls are a little weird. You know, you have to hold down control, you have to hold down a shortcut to make it work basically. Otherwise, every time you draw, you will get a new color. So the usage of it, the simplicity of it, it's not quite there for me. So D tier. Draw. This is the first brush at the very top when you open Blender and you go in sculpting mode. I have actually used this a lot when sculpting wrinkles. Using this with tablet sensitivity on scale and intensity actually gives you the perfect brush to sculpt your wrinkles. So I'm gonna say A tier. Grab. Okay, I'm gonna put these two together here. Grab and snake hook. Here's the thing, I have recently used the grab tool a lot more than I used to, because before I would use the snake hook tool and just bring down the sensitivity. But you know, the grab tool is nice because the setting is already there. You don't really have to change the sensitivity. So it's a nice tool. I use it a lot. It's very useful. So I'll put it in A tier. But the snake hook tool, however, honestly, if you turn down the sensitivity, you basically get the grab tool. But if you turn it up, you get a whole different tool by itself to shape your model the way you want it. And honestly, if not for other people around me, I wouldn't have known about the grab tool because this one is so damn useful. So another S tier right there. Inflate. Now, I know your mind is going to go to the first thing you probably think of when looking at my channel, which are heads, boobs, and butts and whatnot. But even aside from that, anytime you need a round surface, or you need like, I don't know, muscles or whatever, you need to accentuate parts on a body, this tool is freaking amazing. It's honestly like, I don't know what other tool would do the same, would give you the same effect. Yes, you can pull it apart with the snake hook or clay strips and then smooth it out, but come on. Inflate, you cannot miss out on an inflate. So S tier right there. Paint tool, I've been using this a lot on my live streams that I've been doing in the past. Like I would paint in the models and I would use that paint because it's vertex paint essentially, and we use that in the shader editor as an input, and then you can do fun stuff with it. You can wire it through a color ramp, use it in your roughness, all that shit. So, you know, it is useful. It has its use cases. B tier. Pinch. This one is a funny one because it goes hand in hand with the crease brush. You could make your creases way sharper by pinching it, but then again, you could also do it by invert creasing. So is it useful? Yes, it has its cases, but is it that like important? Probably not. It's like below average. I'll put it there in D tier. Pose. The pose brush. It's like one of those brushes like the cloth brush. I've seen people use it. It has its use case, but you really understand these brushes better when you try it on your own models that are, you know, not set up in the way that they set them up in the demonstrations. And then you realize the whole brush breaks completely. So I usually find myself just using a bunch of masking and transformation tools like moving and rotating the parts of the mesh to be way better than using the pose brush. But then again, it has had its use cases. So I'll actually put this in E tier. But then let's turn the cloth brush all the way to F tier, because that one is, my god, it's garbage. Scrape brush. Anytime you need to flatten any area, you name it, flatten faces or rocks or whatever you need, this guy right here does the job that you wouldn't even need the line project. You could do it with the scrape brush. Just make the brush really big and you can work your stuff on it. So I'm thinking A tier or S tier. Simplify. I don't know how many people know this, but the Simplify brush is a freaking amazing brush. It's kind of like basically in Blender, because Blender cannot handle that many triangles when sculpting. I'm talking like 30 million or whatever, it starts to break the software, right? Doesn't matter how well of a computer you have. I got a freaking gaming rig and it will still break down. Whereas ZBrush will handle that with ease. But like, I found a way. So when you sculpt with Dying Topo turned on, and let's say this model was like really detailed, right? Like it has all kinds of shapes and whatnot. But you know, the thing with Dying Topo is if I turn on the overlay, like for it to add geometry onto it, I would have to sculpt, right? But what if I don't want to add detail? What if I want my mesh to be exactly like it is? Well, then I can use the Simplify brush and come in and just paint, and all it will do is add the geometry minus changing the shape of the model. So therefore, because of its use, again, I don't use it that much, but because of its use, it deserves A tier. It's an amazing tool. Smooth. Now, I usually hold down shift, but then again, it's the same thing. If you hold down shift and you sculpt with any brush or most brushes, it will activate the smooth brush. And it's one of those brushes that you can't sculpt without this brush. You need this one. So up there. Finally, slide relax. I've used this on organic hard surface models that I just modeled, but sometimes I would need some of the edge loops to be relaxed, and this is your go-to brush for that. It's useful. It's pretty average, so I'll put it at C tier list. And then finally, just put all of them together here. It's a bit small, but it's all the translation tools, the move, rotation, scale brush, and the transform brush in Blender in the sculpting mode. I've used this before. There's been moments where it's been useful and it just works, because all it does is simple translation tools. You know, if you want to move your model, this works in the same way. And then you can like mask out certain parts and it won't mess with your model the way the pose brush does. So it is useful, although I haven't used it that much. But for that reason, I'll put it in D tier. So there you go. That's my Blender sculpting tools tier list. Do that what you have to do. I haven't really done videos like this, so I'll figure out if this is good or not. If it's boring, this will be the last you'll ever hear of me, you motherfucker. No, I'm kidding, but I will skip this sort of content. Okay, cool. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, all the YouTube shit that you usually hear. And if you do so, I promise to make another video. Alright? Cool. Now get out of here. Go touch some grass. Get out of here. Out here in my videos, watching Blender tier lists. What do you think you're doing? Get out of here.